Welcome to Jim's review of the 2015 RX series. This is now in its final phase of this current model design. We're in the 2015 model year, and Lexus has had an early launch for this model year, which is going to basically carry out until they do the complete redesign. Now, interestingly enough, the RX, since its current design change in 2010, has had a flurry of new models, competitors that have tried to basically gnaw away at its market share. Yet after all its years, it's still been able to gain popularity year after year right into this 2015 and maintain its status as the #1 selling luxury SUV in North America. And surely, looking at the three models here in front of us, the RX 350 in its luxury version, our F Sport package over here, and our RX 450h in its hybrid, I mean, if there was a gold medal to be awarded for a series in a vehicle, surely these three models sitting right in front of us would take away the triathlon. So with this new look in 2015, they've renamed it and called it the Sport Design. The Sport Design was basically aimed at giving it a bit of a sportier look. You can see a more muscular bumper. They've changed it again for this year, and they've added new air ducts which channel air into critical areas, especially like the brake area where it keeps the brakes cooler as you drive. The 2015 F Sport package, no change here. They've added an optional new Cabernet interior. Looks as beautiful as it did last year, and it's still the only model that has the 8-speed transmission available, along with the tighter suspension and the tighter steering. The 2015 450h features, again, the new bumper design, a more aggressive look, nicer style, with air ducts, new air ducts channel the wind into the critical areas needed on the vehicle, especially in that brake area again. So you'll see it's a more muscular look, a new wheel that they've added to the 15 model as well. It's a 19-inch wheel, but it's a new design for this model year. Now, to begin with, on the Sport Design for the 2015 RX 350, again, the changes to the standard equipment were the front bumper redesign, the front grille. They got an all-new 19-inch alloy wheel. Even on the basic models comes with that standard 19-inch wheel. Also, they've added standard LED fog lights on all models for 2015. Remote touch interfaces had a little different knob shape change put on it, and that's basically all the standard changes. You can get into, they've streamlined the packages for this year too. So in the packages now, they've basically given us three to choose from. The first one's called the Sport Design, which is the entry-level vehicle for 2015. Once we move into the upgraded packages, it would add the Touring package, which gives us a heated steering wheel, in-dash DVD player single, a blind spot monitor, intuitive park assist, the navigation system, the HDD system with remote touch, and our wooden leather wrapped steering wheel and shifter. The top packages features a technology package which adds the VDIM, our advanced stability control system, our 15-speaker Mark Levinson sound system with the subwoofer, 7.1 channel surround sound, our front seat thigh support, our premium leather seat surfaces, 120 volt 100 watt power outlet, heads up display, and it's got front illuminated door sill trim. Nice little touch. Now we're going to move into the middle vehicle, the silver color, which is our F Sport package. For the 2015 F Sport package, it comes equipped with the 15-speaker Mark Levinson premium sound system, the 7.1 channel surround sound, speaker architecture, blind spot monitors, intuitive park assist, and the heads-up display. Changes to standard equipment for the 2015 include the Sport Appearance package, which is what we call it, and it covers basically the revised front bumper, the revised front grille, and the new 19-inch alloy wheel. They've also added the LED fog lights as standard equipment on this model, and the remote touch with a slight change on the knob shape itself. They've got three levels for this year. So we have the entry-level Sport Design Edition, which has all the standard features. Upgrades include the technology package, which would add 15-speaker Mark Levinson surround sound system with 7.1 channel surround sound speaker architecture. You would get the front seat power thigh support, the premium leather seat surfaces, the 120 volt 100 watt power outlet, our heads-up display, wood grain trim, front illuminated door sill trim, and LED headlamps. The top package that's available in this model is the executive package. That would also add, in addition to everything in the previous package, it would also add the dual screen rear seat DVD entertainment system with 2 sets of wireless headphones and the audio and DVD remote control. Now, what makes these 3 models different? What are the key differences between the 3 models? Well, starting from the RX 350. The difference between the RX 350 and the other models is it basically starts at a bit of a lower price point and gives us all the luxury you would expect from Lexus and getting the attributes you look for in an SUV in the luxury market. The RX 350 has always been a leader, and it offers us a great entry-level price point. Now, looking at the interior of this model, you'll see that it's extremely luxurious, and it comes in various different interior colors. But you'll notice you're spoiled with a beautiful leather interior, which is standard, and the wood grain interior throughout the vehicle. And it upgrades into things like the wood and leather wrapped steering wheel, like the model we're seeing here. Now, the RX 350 also comes equipped with a very powerful 3.5 liter V6 engine. It's also extremely fuel efficient as compared to a lot of the models in the market. The recommended fuel for this model in the current year is regular fuel, as recommended by the manufacturer. Now, with the 19-inch standard wheel that they've added this year, even on that basic sport design, you will notice that it's got a beautiful look to it, a much sportier look, which ties into that new front end design as well. Now, getting a little closer look at the RX F Sport model, you'll notice it is by far the most aggressive looking of the 3, and it even has this unique charcoal finish on the F Sport wheel. It's got some F Sport badging on the exterior of the vehicle, and you'll notice it doesn't have the roof racks on it at all, which gives it a sleeker roofline. Now, inside the vehicle, the leather has a bit of a different look to it, with the little white perforations inside the leather itself. It just gives it a little more unique look than the other models, sportier for sure. You have the sport pedals that kind of stand out for the brake and accelerator, which gives it, again, a unique look just to the sport package. This is the only model of the 3 that has the 8-speed transmission, and that gives it a much more responsive drive. It even has paddle shifters built into the vehicle. So the F Sport package, looking at the interior, you'll never see anything in the model that gives you the idea that it's the luxury version or the hybrid, because you can see the steering wheel right away will identify it as a sport model with those paddle shifters that we talked about, and it's got a thicker grip to the steering wheel itself with the perforated leather trim. F Sport badging on the steering wheel itself. So throughout the whole design of this model, it not only looks sportier, but it feels sportier when you drive it. For those drivers who like a little bit more road feel and to have a much sportier looking model, the F Sport is the way to go for the RX lineup. Now, what makes the RX 450h unique? Well, for those drivers who are a little more eco-friendly conscious and are looking to get their best bang for their buck in terms of fuel economy and to get the quietest of the luxury line in the RX lineup, you're going to be looking at the 450h. This RX here has attributes that are just unbelievable. In terms of fuel economy, you're talking considerable savings here. You're getting 35% better consumption ratings than some of the non-hybrid models. You're also allowed to use regular fuel as per the recommended manufacturer suggested fuel rating for this vehicle. Now, in the RX 450h, it's got some unique attributes as well. It's got the LED headlights unique to only this model of the 3. And you'll see it on the headlights. It's a very unique headlight design on this car. You're going to get lower maintenance costs in the hybrid. It has a lot of assistance it gets from the regenerative brakes, which can save you maintenance costs on those brakes. They last a lot longer than the conventional ones. The vehicle is equipped to last for the life of the vehicle in terms of its battery life, but that's backed up by an 8-year, 160,000 hybrid components warranty. Looking inside the RX 450h, it's very similar to the RX luxury line that we have in the sport design and that whole lineup. Because this is a hybrid, they add items like the eco indicator that shows us while we drive. So instead of having a tachometer, that indicator will show us the energy consumption as we drive or when we're regenerating energy. And it also has the consumption and energy use screens, which are a little different than the other RXs. and that allows us to track and monitor the energy usage of the vehicle while it's being driven. The badging has got the blue background on it, which quickly identifies this vehicle as a hybrid, not only on the front emblem, but even on the rear. And it's got the badging on the side of the vehicle that also identifies this as a hybrid. So you can see you have a great selection looking at all three of these models, whether it be the RX 350, the RX 350F Sport, or the RX 450H. Lexus has got you covered from all angles. Now, some of the common features on all the RX models start with the power windows and lock and mirror adjustments, which are located on the driver's door. All the vehicles have equipped with them the 4 power windows, which are auto down and auto up, and have pinch control. Pinch control can be something really critical if you have, say for example, a child in the car and you're rolling up the window and didn't notice that their hand blocking the window path from going up. The other nice thing you'll find is that power folding mirrors is now a standard feature on all these 2015 RX models. So as soon as we want to activate our auto folding mirror button, which is located just on the top left-hand side of the mirror adjustments, we can simply get out of the vehicle, lock the car, and you'll see the mirrors fold in automatically. That can also be handy, especially if you're in an area where there's a lot of exterior noise. If you're parking near a noisy street and you might not hear the little beep as you lock the car, it's nice to be able to look back and see your mirrors folded in, reinforcing the fact that you've just locked the car. Near our left knee area, we have 3 buttons which are essentially cover our headlamp washer, our trunk release, and our fuel release. On the dash near our left knee again, to the right of the other buttons we just talked about, you'll see a little up-down arrow with a picture of a cluster in between. And that allows us to basically increase the lighting on the instrument panel or dim it. And you'll see the little indicator. As soon as we start pushing the arrow, that'll pop up showing us if it's being turned up, maybe made darker or brighter. Now, just to continue with our how-to segment, we're not focusing too much on a lot of the items that are common on all the previous model years, because we've done a lot of those segments previously and they're easy for you to view. But some of the new common features they've added to the touring package, which is one of the more popular packages in this model year, you'll see is the blind spot monitors, which they've added. And the blind spot monitors is a great safety feature. And once we press the little button on the dash, you'll notice that it activates the little green light on our dash saying BSM, indicating that they're active. And that will allow the little orange lights in our side mirrors to turn on while we're driving and having someone in our blind spots. One of the other nice features they've added to our popular touring package this year is our park sensors. Our park sensors is something we can activate from our steering wheel by entering our page 2 and hitting the enter button, and immediately our little green P will light up on the dash. That basically activates the 4 sensors in the front and the 4 sensors in the back. That's a great feature when you're trying to park close to another vehicle. The little indicator light will show up on the navigation screen telling us how close we're getting with an audible. Another feature they added for the 15 model is the heated steering wheel button. Now that'll warm up the steering wheel in the 3 and 9 o'clock positions, where we generally keep our hands on the steering wheel. And it's a very quick heat that comes onto the steering wheel once you activate it. It doesn't take very long, it takes about 30 seconds and you start to feel this heat coming right into the steering wheel. Great feature that they've added for this model year, especially in some of the areas where we have colder weather in North America, like this part of Canada. Now the key operation is a very critical component of our how-to segment. It's going to tell us how we enter the vehicle with the smart system or manual. Manual will basically mean you can push the lock or unlock button when you want to open and close the vehicle. The smart key portion will allow us to enter the vehicle by pulling this door handle. Now there's 2 ways we can do this. With the smart system, we simply need to have the key within a meter of the vehicle. It can be in our pocket or our purse. Now, as we get near this door handle and we go to pull it, we can have 2 different settings. We can have one setting where we simply pull the driver's door handle and the rest of the doors are still locked, or we can set it so that when we pull this door handle, it actually unlocks all the doors together. And the easiest way to do that is to simply hold these 2 buttons pressed together, the lock and the unlock button. So if I press them both right now, I wait for about 4 or 5 seconds and you'll hear a beep coming from the vehicle. That basically will change it from one to the other, meaning single door entry or all doors. Now, the other thing we can run into after several years of use of our key is the battery may get low. And if that ever occurs and it doesn't allow us to get into our vehicle, we can push the little button at the top of the key, slide out the real key, and unlock our door and let ourselves into the vehicle. Once we're in the vehicle, we can use the little L behind the key, which has emergency power built in, hold it against our start button while keeping our foot on the brake, and then it will allow us to start the car. One of our other important how-to items is how to put our washer fluid in. And this is common for all of our RX models, whether it be the hybrid, the F Sport, or the regular RX 350. And basically, it's located in the same place in all our vehicles. In the front left-hand side here, there's a little washer fluid that we can open up, and it actually fits the whole 1 liter jug in here. And this is where we would fill it up for times where we run out. This would also give us fluid for our rear window washer fluid. So it's all tied into the same system, including our headlamp washers, which is also common on all of our models. Some of the important how-to items in the rear seat area include our back doors, which have these nice little child locks. The child locks are nice because if the locks are forgotten to be locked from the front, from the driver, the kids still cannot open the doors from inside the vehicle, even if the locks are open, as long as you have that child lock flicked in the down position. Okay, when you have adults in the back, you definitely want to keep that back in the upright position so that adults can get in and out as they please. Now, to adjust the back seats, very user-friendly. We have a little bar located underneath. We just lift it and slide the seat forward or back. And we also have this long handle on the side that allows us to recline our seats back and get more comfortable for a long trip. This same handle will allow the seat to fold forward if necessary. So if we want to get out of the vehicle and flip the seat forward, we can either do it from here with this handle, or we can do it from the trunk area with a secondary release. How-to items on the rear gate area include our backup camera, which is now standard on all our 2015 RX models and common. And from time to time, we'll need a little wipe. You'll need to clean that lens. And our power back door. Also standard on every single RX model for the 15 model year, which includes our power door close button located at the top of the rear gate. We're going to start off with the navigation screen. In the navigation screen, you'll notice we have our menu, and this is common on all the RX 350 models. It starts with our destination button on the top left here. Then we have our info screen, our setup screen, our radio on the bottom left here. Next to that we have media, then climate, and then phone. Now we're going to go into each of these screens and just dig into them a little bit. Now we'll start off with destination, back on the top left here. As we enter this screen, you'll notice we have a lot of other buttons here we can select from. On the far left we have our address button. This will allow us to select an address anywhere in Canada or the US. Points of interest right next to it. In the points of interest screen, you'll notice that once you go into this screen, it'll allow you to select the name of a point of interest you want or a category. For example, the name would be something like Joey's Steakhouse. Category would be steakhouses or restaurants perhaps. Another option you have is to actually put in the phone number of the business, and this works really good. It'll take you right to the destination if you know the phone number of that business. On the top right hand side of the screen we have a little back button. That little horseshoe little arrow you see there takes you back to the previous screen. Now in the previous destinations, the vehicle has the ability to store all the previous destinations you've entered, and then this way you don't have to go in and retype addresses that maybe a place you went to a month ago or a few weeks ago. It'll be stored in there under previous destinations. Our address book allows us to build an address book, and in here once I click it, it tells me how to do it. It tells me to go into my setup screen and then go to navigation and then go to address book. So you follow the instructions, pretty straightforward. In the emergency screen, that takes us to the nearest police station, dealership if our vehicle has a breakdown, fire stations, or hospitals, and it lists them from closest to furthest away. Then we have our More button. This takes us into a second screen, page 2, and we can enter the intersection or freeway that we want to get to. The intersection would be a crossroad of two streets. Map would basically feature a map where we can zoom in and out and scroll right to the point on the map we want to go to, and coordinates, if you happen to know the coordinates of where you want to go, you can click into here and enter longitude and latitude. Okay, and it'll take you right to those points on the map. So let's go back to our first page where we have our address button, far left. Once we click into this button, it allows us to select a province or a state in Canada or the US, and this is where we can enter a destination. So for example, right now we've highlighted Ontario. We would then go into the street address or the city, either one, and just follow the instructions on the screen. It's very easy. We can input a house number. Once we're done with putting the number in, we click OK, and then we enter in the street address. Every time you click the button, it starts to eliminate certain possibilities as it's predictive. Okay? If it can't find the house number on that street, it'll find the closest to. And that's basically all there is to it. Our map screen here, we have a couple of items here that are also interesting of how to. And on the far bottom right side of the screen, you'll see a little circle with a minus in the middle of it. And that allows us to zoom out on the screen. Each time we click it, it tells us at the bottom, you'll see a little picture at the bottom telling us what scale we're looking at. So starts from 50 meters, goes up to 100, 200, 400, 800, and right up to 50, 100, 200, and 400 kilometers. And each time I zoom out, you'll notice you see more map. And I'm clicking it each time right to the highest setting we have, which is 400 meters. Okay. Now, on the far left-hand side of the screen, we have the little circle with the plus sign. That allows us to then zoom back in on the map. Each time we click it, it brings us more detail in that map, and it zooms right back into the location where we're presently located. Now, there's two ways to view the map. One is to view it with the north up mode, and one is to use it in compass mode. The way to change that, on the top left-hand side of your screen, you'll see a little picture there, okay, a little square, and when I click it, you'll see the little north up icon appear. That'll keep the map steady in that north up screen. And you might want to do that for longer trips, because then that'll allow us to look at the map the way we are used to seeing it on an atlas or our Google Maps. Now, once we want to get into compass mode, we click that little button again on the top left, and it's directional. And this is the way you want to drive your car when you're in the city. And that's a nice little overview of how to operate our map and destination buttons. Now, one of the things you'll note is that you can now, with the newer models, simply press the button on the steering wheel that allows us to give the vehicle voice commands. The nice thing about that feature is that you can input in a destination while the vehicle is being driven. Whereas when we do the manual inputs, it only allows us to do that while the vehicle is standing still. Now we're going to go back into the menu screen here and just talk a little bit about some of the other buttons. We have the info button, which takes us into the subscreen and gives us our fuel consumption ratings or traffic incidents. Now, traffic incidents is tied specifically to the models that have satellite radio active in the vehicle. Our setup screen allows us to do a lot of customization. And you'll notice once I click into that screen, we have the general setup button. Okay, and in here we can change things like the language, the color of our buttons, unit of measurement. Okay. You can customize even startup images of the vehicle. Now, the auto screen change button is one button that I like to typically turn off if you want to have a little bit more manual control. When I shut that auto feature off, and I'm, say, for example, in my map screen, and I want to flip over to the radio screen, I can simply push the radio button on the dash, or, which is a shortcut, or go into my menu and click the radio button. So there's two ways you can do this. Once I'm in this radio screen, because I shut off that auto screen change, it will no longer go back automatically to the map until I tell the vehicle to go back to the map screen, which is just hitting the little map button above our little remote touch on the center console here. So once we're into this radio screen, we can see that at the top we have a few tabs we can select. We have our AM, FM, and satellite. Now, the other thing we can do with the audio feature in this vehicle is hit the little arrow that points to the right. That'll take us to the next screen, which is the media screen. We also have access to the media screen. If I go back to the menu, you'll see at the bottom we have radio and media next to it. Well, that's another way to enter that media screen. And the third way is to push the little media button on the dash, located right next to the shortcut radio button. They're located next to each other. Now, in this screen, when we have our Bluetooth audio system connected, which basically plays music from our phones, this would allow us to play it wirelessly. Right from our phones, we can control everything, and you don't have to have any wires plugged in. You'll notice there's a few other tabs at the top, which is the disc for when you're inputting a disc for your music, as a CD or a DVD. And then there's a USB that would highlight. So underneath our center console, we have our USB and our auxiliary ports. Once we plug in one of those items, for example, the USB or the auxiliary, into their plugs there, they will highlight and become options we can click into in our media screen. Let's talk again, now that we're in the menu, about our climate screen. Our climate screen just gives us a quick snapshot of what the function is doing. So if I turn on my climate control and I have it set in my auto setting, I can simply adjust the temperature with the red or blue arrows on the dash, located on the dash, and that will allow us to either warm up the temperature or cool it down. Well, you can also do it with your mouse on the screen. We can click on the red button and increase the temperature here too. So a lot of these functions can be controlled by our little mouse, our remote touch. Now if we have a second passenger in the front seat and they want to control their own temperature, again, they can control it from the dash with the red or the blue arrows, or you can also do it with the mouse or our remote touch right on this screen. And you can see how the two temperatures have now changed on that screen. At the bottom of this screen, the little dual light has come on, indicating that we're now in the dual mode. We can click this button and shut that feature off, and now you can control everything from the driver's side again. At the bottom center of the climate screen, this is an interesting button. When we press this button, it activates our heated windshield. Now we're going to go back to the final button here on our menu, which is our phone screen. Inside our phone screen, the first thing the vehicle will do is ask us if we want to register a new phone, and this is where we would click yes. Once we click yes, it waits for us to activate Bluetooth from our handsets, and then it asks us a lot of times just to pair it with the newer phones. If it's an older phone, it may ask us for the passcode, which are the 4 zeros located at the bottom of the screen there. And that's how simple it is. It connects everything, including our contacts, with a lot of the newer smartphones. And that's a really nice feature, because one of the other voice commands you can give the vehicle by pushing that little voice command button on our steering wheel would it be to dial a person in our phone book. So if, for example, we have somebody in the phone screen named John Smith in our contacts on our phone, we could simply press the button on our steering wheel and give the vehicle a voice command that says dial John Smith, and it will dial John Smith. And you can do that with any name inside your contacts on your smartphone. So we're in our final year with this current model design, and what a success. I mean, who can claim that their models become more popular every year as the model ages? And Lexus can actually claim that. This vehicle in its outgoing model year, having this great selection of all three models, it is just an outstanding job. And of course, we're looking forward to seeing what they have in store for us in the new model design, but for now, I'm sure that they've covered all the bases for consumers looking for the finest luxury SUV in the market. There you go. Well done, Lexus.